There's a moment in every founder's life that nobody warns you about. A moment you don't talk about publicly. A moment you don't admit to your team, or even sometimes to yourself. The moment you realize you're not the weapon you used to be. In the beginning, you move fast. You were sharp. You were relentless. But now you hesitate. You second guess. You drift. You work 10 hours every day, but only 2 are actually needed moving. You stall on things that used to take you minutes. You didn't choose to lose your edge, but you for sure did. And it didn't happen because you got older or lazy or burnt out. No, you lost your edge because you are under attack from the most dangerous force in your life, an outdated identity. Specifically, untrained patterns within your subconscious that sabotage your best intentions. I've coached nearly 400 founders one-on-one at this point, and I've seen all sorts of sabotage patterns, like starting the week strong but drifting from Wednesday, or freezing before sales calls because you feel you shouldn't be doing them anymore, or opening YouTube or IG in incognito after blocking everywhere else, or rewriting content 10 times just to get it perfect. And these seem like random struggles, but they're not. They're subconscious sabotage patterns. It's the old self fighting the new self. And if you're feeling this, it's not random. It's predictable identity failure. That doesn't mean you're broken, but it means that you need to certainly rewire it. You need to train yourself out of it, or you will never break through. The typical solutions, hustle, motivation, manifestation, are children toys. They don't work. In fact, most of them are an actual blatant lie. And you may have been told that you've lost your edge because you lack discipline, or you were too distracted, or you burnt out. No, that's never the case. Those are just mere symptoms. The real cause is that you are fighting yourself, specifically your old identity. The identity that takes you to where you are right now refuses to die, and you don't trust the identity that will take you out of this situation enough. So the problem is not discipline. The problem is not dopamine. The problem is not your phone. The problem is identity misalignment between what you consciously want to do, the new identity, and what you subconsciously think you deserve, the old identity. The person you think you are and the person your goals demand you to be are in open conflict, and one of them is trying to kill each other. And this is not a challenge. This literally is a threat. That's why you have such resistance to the work. This is why you freeze before an important task. And your behavior will never exceed your identity in the short term. So you must absolutely align identity, goals, and behavior, or it will shut down execution to protect itself. And most founders think that you get here from overwork, but no, you literally get here when you refuse to self-actualize. When your responsibility grows, your team grows, your complexity increases, but your identity does not adapt to it. And that dissonance between who you need to be and who you actually are is what creates internal friction. And this is why you say, and I'm collecting these from our clients, that I feel nothing, that my fire is gone, that I can't execute like I used to. Of course you can. You are not ready yet. You're trying to get to the next level, but you haven't yet built the identity that will take you there. Your old identity cannot handle your next level. And that's why it freezes. It weaponizes itself as a pattern of distraction, of doubts, burnout. So we have to re-architect yourself. When the new version of you tries to emerge, the old identity panics. So what we need to do is literally change that pattern. And you can only change their patterns if you realize that it is pulling you back into behaviors that feel familiar, not the ones that move you forward. So in essence, procrastination is not laziness, it's conflict avoidance. Every task you avoid has something in common. It requires you to be a version of yourself you haven't yet fully stepped in. So for instance, doing sales requires public rejection, or hiring requires assuming yourself as a leader. Building system requires letting go of your comfort zone that thrives in chaos. If creating content requires visibility, launching something new requires risking ego death, and so on and so forth. New goals require new identity. But if your old identity isn't ready to let your new identity emerge, you get delay, you get procrastination, you get overthinking, you get consistent inconsistency. And these are not personality flaws, these are survival instincts. So how do you get out of this situation? Well, not by hustling harder, not by affirming yourself, not by manifesting, no, by literally mapping out the old identity that needs to go and the new identity that needs to emerge, and replace the identity that is sabotaging you. And there's a 3-step mechanism that you can use for this. First implies designing the future self. Exactly who is the version that you need to be to achieve your goals? Specifically, what are the thoughts that you need to start paying attention to? What is the decision-making patterns that you actually need to embrace? What are things that you need to eliminate? What are the things that you need to tolerate? What are the things that are non-negotiable, your standard? What are the things that you refuse to continue escaping from? The more clear you can be about this identity, the easier execution eventually becomes. Step number 2 is identity audit. Okay, cool. What are the parts of you that are now outdated? What are the habits that make you collapse when under stress or pressure? What are the fears that are irrational? What are the procrastination patterns? What are the places where you're playing small? What are the behaviors that you feel are getting stuck into an old version of yourself? What are the situations where you feel like an imposter? These are not flaws. These are indicators of the specific areas of your mind that you need to rewire. And step number 3 is integral rewiring. This is when you actually step into that next level, because it's not only about knowing what to do, it's about actually start to doing it and aligning body and mind. You must retrain your system to handle pressure in those areas you're not good at without panicking, tolerate visibility without shutting down, executing without adrenaline in a calm, consistent state, and stay grounded when stakes and pressure and nerves are high. That is when you start winning, when your execution becomes automatic, when your focus becomes natural, when consistency becomes default. That's how you rebuild your edge, by upgrading the operator, not the tactics. So to sum up, you didn't lose your edge because something broke within you. You lost it because you don't know how to self-actualize at the level your ambition demands. And the solution obviously is to rewire the old patterns out of your mind so you can forge the version of yourself that needs to happen. Once you do that, you consistently get better, and you get better every time you need to get better, meaning every time you hit a roadblock, you consistently know what to do. Now, you can spend the next few years trying to outwork an identity that actively sabotages you, or you can use our system to rebuild yourself in about 6 weeks. If you want to help, book your recording session below. We work with 10 founders a month, and if you're seeing this video, it's because we still have a slot this month. See you in the next video.